Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor. We are back with your instant match reaction. Blackburn nil, Leeds United 2. Blackburn nil, Leeds United 2. Blackburn nil, Leeds United 2. Yeah, it sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds good. The fruit salad kit, we have a W. We have a W fruit salad kit. It's changing. You can tell Farke's happy. You know, a little bit of camaraderie there. Spence getting a bit of a high five here, as Matteo Joseph, who I'd like to say just before we start the video, Daniel Farke hugging Jed Spence there. Absolutely loved the cameo of Spence and Matteo Joseph, especially Joseph. You know, you saw a bit of tenacity. We were saying it on the watch long, a little bit of combativeness, him competing with the centre backs, which we hadn't seen before. You know, he's a little bit off the centre backs in terms of just pace, get me in and behind. But I loved when those long balls were going to him and he's throwing his shoulders about a little bit, used to the English game now, clearly in the developmental side, and he's had a lot of coaching from the developmental coaches as well. Lovely to see there. But getting into the game, I'll be honest, wasn't that happy. Now, why aren't you happy, Connor? You never seem to be happy. Of course I'm happy, honestly. I'm a happy man. But what I will say is I wasn't happy with Leeds United's game at the start. And what I mean by that is Blackburn were getting a lot of joy in terms of corners. They were pressing Leeds United high. And what I didn't really like with Leeds is as a unit, and I was mentioning this on the watch long if you guys were there, I was mentioning that as a unit, we weren't pressing high enough. And every single time we saw it with Swansea, we saw it with Borough, we see it with so many teams in this division that they are not good enough to deal with the press. They are not good enough. Blackburn were man-for-man marking us and using a little bit of a press when we were trying to build out from the back. I'd have loved to have seen Leeds United implement that a little bit more. We didn't. Okay, fine. We got a moment when we did start to press. We won the ball back. A couple of really good transitional moments. No idea how Rutter didn't chip that one into the far corner when we applied a press. The keeper muffed it up. They were passing it between the centre-backs across the 6-yard box. And there was panic in the Blackburn back line then. You could see it, and that was ignited by a press. Okay, so and similarly in the first goal, they were a little bit flustered as well. James won the ball, fired it through. We see so many centre forwards doing that. I mentioned that as well in the watch on. We see so many centre forwards doing the exact same thing where they get the ball out of the feet and fire it through the defender's legs. It's almost a little bit in a version of a tactic where it puts the goalkeeper off. It puts the goalkeeper off. They're just showing here the Somerville to Rutter. Rutter should score. He should score, and that was all ignited by a little bit of a press. But Leeds were having some really good moments from that press, but we didn't do it enough, in my opinion. But they're just showing the goal here. Some fantastic work by Jorginho Rutter. Thought he'd lost it with a weird bit of skill, but his strength got him through. Really, really lovely weighted ball as well to Dan James, who peeled off here. And as we've just mentioned there, shot through the defender's legs. A fantastic finish by Dan James. It has to be said. And for someone who's criticised Dan, which I have, in the past, because I didn't think he was good enough in the Premier League, and I don't think in phases he's been good enough at Leeds United. But this season he's been fantastic. He's been absolutely fantastic. But what I would say in that first half, and it's shown a few of the highlights here, is Blackburn were building a little bit through the phases. They were good in little spots of possession, and I thought to myself, they're a good little unit when it comes to just moving that ball through the midfield phase into the attacking phase. But the beauty about Leeds United is we do have that force in attack, and there was so many moments where Leeds could have really been clinical and ruthless. There was a moment in the second half where Perot had 12 yards of space, was running through that central space, played it to Nonto, hit the bar, good save from the goalkeeper. Nonto couldn't believe he'd missed. And then there was the lovely second goal, which they're just showing here. Nice little interchange between Nonto, 1-2, lovely from Rutter and Somerville. I thought Somerville was offside, dinks it over the keeper. Somerville, interestingly, was targeted today. In my opinion, he was completely off it, not by his own standard, but because they were doubling up on him. And I think there was a lot of relief at the end there when he got through, a little bit of, everybody was really happy with the fact that, he got a little bit free. In the moment he got free, he was able to inject his quality into the game. Lovely dink over the goalkeeper, 2-0 Leeds United. Good night. And yeah, I thought they were the definitive moments, really. I didn't think Blackburn, for all the possession they had in phases, and sometimes the frustration of Leeds giving away sloppy bits in possession, I think the beauty about what Leeds were doing really in that second half towards the latter end is we looked dangerous. And I think towards the back end of that second half, Blackburn were a little bit perturbed by the fact that Leeds looked dangerous. They dropped off a little bit further, 2 to 3 yards, especially when we brought our subs on, Spence, Gruev and Joseph and Nonto. Nonto, who I thought gave a really good account of himself again, looked dangerous. As I've mentioned, Matteo Joseph looked excellent, I thought, in a really short spell. And Spence, what I will say is it looked like, and I mentioned this on the watch along, that Daniel Farker had his hand around Sam Byram's hip. Now, I do wonder, would he have brought Jed Spence on at left back? Why would he not have taken Archie Gray off at right back? 17 years of age, has played pretty much every single minute for Jed Spence. For me, that signifies another injury after that big tackle that Sam Byram put on the Blackburn fullback, and he stayed down for a little bit and he went off a minute afterwards. It's another injury for Sam Byram. I'd be stunned if in the post-match press conference Daniel Farker didn't address that, which once again, I do not want to see Jed Spence playing left back. I don't want to see it. We've seen it with Berardi, we've seen it with Dallas, we've seen it with Alioski, we've seen it with Sam Byram, we've seen it with Jamie Shackleton. Just go out and get a frigging left back, for goodness sake. I'm sick of seeing it. I want to see Jed Spence as a right back, where he was exemplary for Nottingham Forest and was the reason that he got his move to Tottenham Hotspur, Premier League Tottenham Hotspur, top 4 Tottenham Hotspur. So please, can we play Jed Spence? Please, football gods, can we please play Jed Spence right back? I don't want to see him there, but I thought when he came on, he did really well. Just getting to a few of your comments. We've got a super chat coming in here from That's Football. Great work. Really had to work for that. What do you think? Spence looked good, but lazy too. I don't know if he looked lazy, mate. I thought he was bombing on really nicely. I thought we saw an injection of pace on that side, which I don't think Sam Byram was really providing. And I thought there was a little bit of consistency there. A couple of nice little back heels, which got Somerville going. And I thought as soon as Spence came on, there was a little bit more space for Somerville because the defenders were tracking Spence because Spence was going forward. It enabled Somerville to really have the ball a lot more. There was no coincidence that he started to get more space when Spence came on. Danny says desperately needs a proper left back in January. I'd agree with you, mate. Melee has to go for me. He frightens me every time he has the ball. Joseph looked really good for the time he had to be on. Had to be ahead of Bamford. Great content as always, Connor. Thanks, mate. Winning games without dominating or being the better side is important. Connor, what does that shirt get a chance? Does that shirt get a chance to get a wash? Mate, this is the first time I've worn it in 2 weeks. But I'm not watching it. I'm not washing it. Never washing it. I thought Blackburn played nice passing football. They did, mate, but they didn't get the win. Hi, Connor, not seen you in a while. Don't know if that's sarcasm, mate. I'm on here every day. Spence class, says Eric. No one does Ampadu's level of work in midfield. So for me, I don't know if it's Gray or Kamara in our midfield to be our best 11. Jake Metcalf, hi Jake, says nice to see Farker making subs earlier than usual. Superb performance, says Shane Shanks. Nice to see young subs on early to freshen up and see out till the end. Stuart Walker has said rather have Shacks at left back than Firpo. Did us a job and linked well with Somerville. Rutter again, very good. What a player. How comes no Bamford at all? I think to be honest, mate, it's just there might have been a preference. It could have been a preference. I think we all wanted to see Joseph. I thought, when he was having his little cameo appearances for Leeds every now and again, in the, in almost pre-season and coming on every now and again at the start of the season as well when we were threadbare, thought he looked good. I really did. And there's been, I think what you can take away from Matteo Joseph is the amount of hype he's got around him, the fact that there was 15 plus clubs in for him in the summer, and the fact that he's come on there and he's looked like a man. I thought he filled out a little bit. I know it sounds ridiculous, but he looks like he's got a bit of a glow with his haircut. And he looks a bit cocky. He's got a bit he looks brash. For me, he had the look of Richarlison there. And as soon as he came on and the ball's been played long to him, I'm absolutely loving him. Digging back into Wharton, who I thought was giving Jorginho, Rutter and Perot up there a little bit of a bullying tactic. Not on the ball. I thought quality-wise, our two were, easily, been able to dance around him at points and Pickering at the back as well. But what I did like when Joseph came on, he was doing like the classic centre forward where it's like, come on then, bang, bang, biff. And he's got the quality as well. He was running the channels. He's got bags full of energy. And do you know what, everyone? When he's going down, he's complaining at the referee. Bit of gamesmanship. Love it. Absolutely love it. Every other team has an SHIT house, and I like what Joseph brings. He's a young lad. He's brash. And you can see why a lot of clubs wanted him. Massive fan of him. Massive fan of him. And listen, if he's there over Bamford, absolutely no problem with me. I'd like to see his progression. He's the future. Bamford isn't. Joseph certainly looks at a talent more than Joffy. Spence is world-class player. Make permanent deal. What a win. I'm very happy for little Archie. Spence reminds me of Habib Habibou. Interesting. A good win in a scrappy game. Don't think we played as well as we could, which makes it a better win. I'd agree with you, mate. Guys, there's 815 of you in the building. Please make sure you're slapping a like on the video. Subscribe, of course. And if you want bonus content, we're going to be doing player ratings over on the Patreon, link in the description below. Paul, how much did that shirt cost you, mate? It cost me 150 quid, mate. So none of you ask why I'm wearing it all the time, because I don't have 150 quid to spend. But I saw Fowler on the back of this and I just wanted it. Good show, pal. They look knackered. Thanks, Mark. Last 15 minutes. Please do not carry it away. Got the ponce, great, but awful display. Passing Sunday League standard. Mark, you always bring me back down to earth, mate, so I appreciate that. Some people get me high, other people don't. Bro is a great player, but I'm not sure that he can play in the PL, and he should work on fitness. Joe Keane says, told you Connor 2-0 Leeds, great win. I think the thing about Joe Perot being honest with it is I'm still not 100% convinced on him. I'm not. But today in particular at points, the thing with Perot is I think what he didn't realise a lot of the time, and what Leeds weren't able to get strategically and structurally from the game, was that because they were pressing on us anytime one of our players had the ball at the back, and even the central defensive midfielder was pressing high on our central attacking midfielder in Joel Perot. So anytime Joel Perot came back into our half, the central defensive midfielder, because we're almost in a man marking structure, was following Perot the entire way. So when Perot would do that, sometimes we're thinking, why is Perot going all that way back? Well, in this game in particular, it was working, because then what would happen with the CDM following him the whole way, there's space in that hole for a Somerville, for a Nonto when he came on, for Rutter, and we weren't doing it enough. There was a literal point where you're getting Perot dragging the CDM out of position, and he wasn't doing it enough. We didn't seem to recognise that. When we did start to recognise that, that's when Leeds started getting a little bit more joy. Perot doing the old thing where he comes into the box, but the CDM was behind him as well. That's when Perot started to get a little bit more joy. If he was following, that pattern of play, he's just playing the ball off, the CDM's followed him the whole way. Can he get back into that hole as well? And that's when that was the movement which was getting Leeds a lot of joy in that second half, in my opinion. But for some reason, the first we didn't seem to recognise that. A win's a win. Great win. Yep, exactly, Rick. Colin says, great win, Connor. Indeed, mate. Connor, you are great. It's very good, your stream. I'm a big fan of you. Who was your man of the match? Thank you, Kareem. I appreciate that. I'd have probably gone for man of the match. Great question, actually. I would say man of the match for that one would be Pascal Struijk. I thought Struijk was really good today. Really good. Progressing the ball out from the back, not giving the ball away like the rest of the team. And what people underrate with Pascal Struijk is there's a lot of shine on Joe Rodon, understandably. But Pascal gets the ball and distributes it as a centre-back better than Joe Rodon. I love Joe, but Pascal as a centre-back is so good at moving Leeds up the pitch, and I thought he did that really, really well today. Connor, do you think could try Nonto in for Perot? Yeah, definitely. I think that's not a bad shout. He's too big to be a pocket player for me, Perot. I think, to be honest, Joe, that was just in that game in particular. I think normally you don't get essentially a man-for-man marking system against Leeds United in the Championship, and the CDM was just following Perot around everywhere. So, where he was able to drag the CDM out, that's where you'd be able to initiate space for more of our front men, or even Glenn Kamara if he's moving forward. Good win in grubby conditions. Still giving free headers at corners, though. Struijk, man of the match. You on crack? No, I am not. And yes, man of the match. Great win. Difficult place to go. Keep the pressure on that top two. Great stuff as always, mate. Lee Wood. Thanks, pal. Connor Archie Gray, first time Travella through a ball. Yeah, not bad, is it? Especially when you've received a 1-2. You've done a 1-2 with Jorginho Rutter. The weight of pass to him was excellent. The weight of pass back from Rutter to Gray was excellent. And I didn't celebrate on the watch along. Then I realised he was onside. I thought Somerville had ran a bit early, but he held his run really, really well. That's what I'm talking about sometimes with Dan James, when he doesn't look across the line. Somerville looked across the line, saw the last line of defence was level with him. Then he made that run, that little jerking run forward. Lovely finish, but yeah, nice little side. That's what Archie's got that in his locker. His top draw, his top draw. Massive fan of that lad. Midfield needs a rest. Spence will be great. Borough to beat Ipswich today. Howson to help his real club. Kamara was terrible. Kamara was awful. Oh, okay. I don't know if he was Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I'd give my point of view. Kamara was so bad today. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Kamara for me unreal this level and props even higher today. There we go. 4 points off second. Yeah, Dale. For now, mate, we need to see a big performance from Borough. A huge performance from Borough, and if they're able to get this win, Ipswich, we'll see you soon, lads. We'll see you soon. It's going to be a very enticing run into Christmas. Archie's vision on the pitch is top class. Kamara made mistakes, got away with it because of the level. Premier gets punished. Does anybody know how many away fans were there? I think it was around about 7,500, wasn't it? Great stream, Connor. These early games stuck. These early games suck for us states. I don't know, mate. It's not good for you guys, is it? A couple more comments, everybody. 7,300. More than that, we have a 9-point gap on fifth. Yeah, Ren, nice little point there, buddy. Come on, Borough. Pascal is slowly but back to his best. Pro cost 15 million. He's delivering goals and assists. Can't ask anything more from him, really. Yeah, Agent Greenwood is back today, isn't he? Which is great to see. Spence can head the ball to feet. If Verba return, what can we do? Strauch, Rodon, maybe Verba in left back. Nah, I wouldn't be having him back, mate. Do another stream for Borough, mate. Do you know what the thing is, Joe? I want to keep it very Leeds-centric, and I'm going to be making another video after this, a couple of watch-along highlights, which will be quite funny for you guys. We're going to be doing the 3 things that we learned about this game, which I've already got 3 in mind, and we're going to be doing the player ratings live on the Patreon as well. Listen, you lovely lot. Isn't that great to start your Saturday? If you've not checked out the watch-along, please go back and have a look. It's a right laugh. It really is. I'll be putting the time codes in there as well, so you guys can see through what was going on. Before you leave, there's been almost 1,000 of you in the building for this instant match reaction. Please slap a like on the video. We are going to be doing so many more streams. If you fancy a bit of bonus content, links in the description below. Player ratings will be going up on the Patreon now. We've got 2 podcasts coming up this week on the Patreon as well. Guys, listen, thank you so much for joining me in the watch along. If you haven't joined me in the watch along, make sure you go back, have a look. Check out this from the start as well, this instant match reaction. Leeds United beating Blackburn in Lancashire 2-0. Yorkshire defeating Lancashire once again. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.